Good evening. Good evening, Uncle Jed. Good evening, Senator. Here we are again on this. Hold on a bit. All right. Good evening, Uncle Jed.
Yes, good evening. How are you?
How are you? There are people calling you Ango constitutionalism.
Oh, my name.
Why so much obsession with constitutionalism?
Constitutionalism, yes. Why are you so obsessed with it? Yeah, I mean, it is quite, interesting. The obsession, it's not just a mere obsession, but it is something that is part of our everyday life. So there's no obsession, right there. It's just wanting to be able to talk about it, assess people's understanding, of it, and then see how best, we can help each other in understanding, some of these things.
And we are also joined by Mr. Musariri from Mashonaland West. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm from Mashonaland Central.
Oh, Central, not okay. Sorry.
Yes.
And good. You were born where?
I was born in Mashonaland West. In Mashonaland West.
Okay, but you are still a Zimbabwean.
I'm a Zimbabwean.
All right. Okay, and we're also joined by Senator Komichi. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you so much.
We have an issue here. When you talk of constitutionalism, are you understood? Maybe we start with Senator Komichi. Do you think there's a shared understanding?
Actually, we need to talk more about constitution because many people seem not to understand it or they don't appreciate its value. We need to really go on the round table and discuss this matter, because constitutionalism, in my understanding, is that it usually says the life of the human being. In this modern world, it is now in a great position that we must respect our constitution, because in this modern world, we must be different from how people lived long back. Remember the times of the Hitlers, the Mussolini, and so forth. We have developed a time where people should actually appreciate each other, have tolerance, make sure that we use friendly laws, and we respect our own institutions that we have in the country so that we can live in peace. We make sure that we have human rights. And we can only do this if we have our own constitutions and we religiously follow them and we respect them and we apply them so that we can actually govern the human life. If we do not have constitutions and we don't practice constitutionalism, we are bound to suppress each other, to oppress each other. We are bound to abuse each other. We are bound to be big men mentality, and will actually affect. It will affect the lives of many people.
Okay, and Mr.
We need to understand.
Mr. As a member of ZANU PF, what is your understanding of constitutionalism and how important is it?
Yes, I want to just add on to what Senator Komichi has said, and emphasizing the issue of supremacy of the constitution itself. The constitution in Zimbabwe remains the supreme law, and surely, like what Senator Komichi says, of constitutionalism should be equated to the when you talk of the Bible and the believers, I think this is the Bible whereupon if people do not actually obey or follow what the Bible says, they can be said to be sinners or transgressors. So in a community ours, which is ZANU-PF, where I'm coming from, we are still citizens of the country together with other political parties. And it is this constitution which binds us. It is that lifeblood of every political activity that we can do, and which actually embraces all the founding principles and values that are enshrined in our own constitution, which are, for example, the supremacy of the constitution itself, the rule of law, the fundamental human rights, freedoms, and the embracement of the diverse cultural, religious, and all these gender equality, good governance, all these precepts. So when you are in a ZANU-PF party, you are not living in a vacuum. You are actually united together with all the other elements of the society by the constitution. And this constitution needs constitutionalism and the constitutionality of all matters. We need to abide by those so that society remains in the order that we want.
Maybe when we talk of organizations like ZANU-PF, does it have a constitution?
Yes, ZANU-PF has got a brilliant piece of document, a good constitution. But like what Senator Komichi said, we need to actually have confidence.
No, maybe we stop there. You have a constitution. And Senator Komichi, do you have a constitution?
Yes.
Senator Komichi? Hello? Do you have a constitution?
Of my party?
Yeah.
Yes, I have it.
What are the similarities and differences with ZANU-PF constitution?
They're actually almost similar.
Okay. Let's start with the structures under the constitution. In ZANU-PF, they call it Congress. Is that correct?
Yes.
That's a meeting of delegates.
And who also called it a Congress in MDC.
Okay. And then there is an organ called the Central Committee.
And in MDC, we call it National Council.
Then there's the Politburo.
And in MDC, we call it Executive.
Is there any other? There's a National Consultative Assembly in ZANU-PF.
We also have it.
Okay. So now we can say you are in the same WhatsApp group.
They are in the same WhatsApp group.
We are in the same WhatsApp structures. Generally, we are almost the same.
All right. Senator Komichi had said he doesn't want to be on the same platform with a ZANU-PF, but we committed an offense. Senator, we have Goodman, who is a proud member of ZANU-PF, and we thought in the spirit of finding answers to the national question, whether we are a nation of laws or we are a nation of big men.
Okay.
What kind of society do you want, of laws or big men?
I am actually inclined to the nation of laws because we know the hard life that is experienced.
No, we'll get to that. Just your preference. Goodman, are you for a nation of laws or for a nation of big men?
For the nation of laws.
All right.
We are totally against the law of big men.
You know, even lions don't have a constitution. Do we agree? So in the animal kingdom, Senator Komichi, is there a constitution?
No. There's no written constitution, but they got the ways of living.
But is there order and structure?
No, there's no order.
All right. In ZANU-PF, do you agree that in the animal kingdom there's nothing?
Yes, although the philosophical element in the society where every politician or every member of any political party is, we always say, there's this idiom that we say the lion is always right. And we also...
No, you're going further. I'm just saying in the animal kingdom, is there constitutionalism?
There is no constitutionalism in the animal kingdom.
There's no constitution. Whether it's written or no, it's the law of the jungle.
Yes.
So do you want to be in a nation where there are no rules? Or to be in a club where there are no rules?
No. We should do as human beings must always have rules. Must have a system of how we live, how we interact with each other. We need to be predictable.
Okay.
We have system that will protect people.
All right.
System that will control the behavior of the human being.
So Uncle J, do you agree that there is no will in the animal kingdom?
Oh yes. Yeah, I mean, I do agree. Some of the questions that you're asking are very pertinent. Questions that you're asking. But when you look in the animal kingdom, you will find that there is some order that gets established. Let's say you're looking at the clan, a lion's clan, or then you see that there's some order that is established, but that order is not informed by a written constitution, but there is an order that exists. So
you remember the lion that died in Zimbabwe? What was the one that was killed? Sisu,
yes.
Lion.
Yeah. Do you know who replaced it?
I'm told
there's no law of animal kingdom. Is that correct? Is that correct, Senator Komichi?
Yes, there's no law.
There's no law of succession. Is that correct?
Yeah? No.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
There's nothing.
There's nothing.
And Goodman?
Yes, there's nothing that we know.
So if Cecil dies,
yes,
nature takes its course. Is that correct, Uncle Jed?
Oh, yes.
So when I expire, I go with my IP.
Oh, yes, you do. Disappear, you're erased from the scene. You no longer exist.
And there are no limits. There's nothing. There's no order. There's no structure. So that's where we are. You guys have a constitution that was tested. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Komichi.
Yeah.
And before this test, did you also have doubts that your reading of the constitution may not have been correct?
Yeah, slightly. Because there will be so many interpretations that will be given by so many learned people.
And one such interpretation was what happens when a president vacates office?
Yes, of course. there were so many interpretations that were being done. Some people were saying the National Council has got the powers to manage succession. Some were saying no, it doesn't have any power. And there's so many sections of the Constitution were being quoted. So it created a bit of confusion among the people until the matter had to be taken before the courts play a role of an arbitrator.
Was this the matter of this constitution not being clear, or it was a matter of people trying to use the constitution to their advantage? Was it not written? I mean, this constitution, was it not properly, written? Was it not clear? Or there are people that just wanted to manipulate the situation and use it to their advantage?
It was a dispute that came from the interpretation. There were a group of people that felt the constitution was very clear and the people should just follow the constitution. But there was another group which had to interpret it otherwise. And as a result, then that caused a dispute. And to then clear the dispute, we had to take it before an institution that is created for interpretation of the law, which is the courts. And the courts did their work, and an outcome was then announced.
To what extent were the opinions fight?
I don't understand that.
Which transfer of power which was it ZANU-PF where the tsunami took place, where Mugabe found himself unemployed, where he was removed? In your case, there was life terminated. In the ZANU-PF scenario, still life, but there was a change of government. In your discussions, did you look at the experience of the ZANU-PF, or you just became silos, just were anti-history?
We looked at our case where we're at the end of life. So we adhered to our constitution and we tried to apply what the constitution was saying. But however, people differed on the interpretation, as I said before. We did not look at ZANU-PF.
No, and now that you are inside, do you see any similarities with the transfer of power in ZANU-PF and MDC? So the ZANU-PF had a clean bill of by the courts that there was no coup, there was no evil intention. It was the popular will. The voice of God was the voice of the people.
Yeah, because from the MDC, we did not look at that at all. We felt it was a family matter of the ZANU-PF people. So the ZANU-PF people, all the local standing to raise issues in their own family, because we had our own issues as well in our own family. So to be fair to the audience, is that MDC people were looking at the MDC issues. ZANU-PF people were looking at ZANU-PF issues. So then that is what actually. So
are you a tribalist on constitutionalism?
They don't believe in knowing what is happening in each other's political parties as far as the constitution are concerned. Here we're talking about a constitution of an organization that is the ruling party of the country.
Yeah, the ruling party, the government, where taxes come from, we don't care. Senator, you tell us more.
We do have a national constitution. Look at national constitution. The one.
Look at your competitors. You don't have a competitor analysis.
Senator. I don't want to lie. I cannot do that. I think this is what people should just know, because the people should. We didn't do that because we actually also broke down with our own. So we're trying to make our institution respected its own constitution. And at the same time, there were also men and women that were struggling with their constitution in Sanupf. They were doing that in their own. But we meet at the national level and look at the national constitution. We meet there at political level.
Are you a senator?
Yes, I'm a senator.
Are you a senator of the Republic or a senator of MDC?
I'm a senator of the Republic. That's why I'm saying we comes to the national constitution. Have been violates the constitution at the national level. Then stand up and then follow Zimbabwe. But when it is the party, but when it is at level, we don't have the local standing because we're not members. Just like the way we had our own challenge in MDC, we had the man called Murimoka who took the because of the appointment of the president or the vice president. That man lost on
no, but in hindsight, Senator, it's confession time. Confession time.
Yeah.
Are you regretting that you buried your head in the sand?
No.
Okay.
Right. Let me add the only to that question. You said no, but let me add the to that question to say because I want because you are a key player. You are a key player now in the state of that.
There's a supplementary question.
Yes. So, so I want to find out what was your. I'm talking to you now. What was your interpretation of the constitution of the MDC at that material time when you're talking about the succession issue? What was your, not saying that one side was doing this, one side was doing this, but I want your interpretation of the relevant clauses of the constitution that dictates to the succession issue when it comes to the MDC. What was your position, and how did you interpret this constitution yourself?
My position of our constitution goes to 2016 when my president Babachangirai appointed the two vice presidents, and it went through the National Council. As was done. Challenge was then launched by Murimoka, and we actually stayed down with the president by then. And my advice was to him was very clear. President, the appointments that we did in the party were not constitutional. If we go to the courts and we go through merits of this argument, Murimoka would win. So let us find ways of making sure that we go through the election. That was my advice. If the man was
so this advice was advised in 2016, right?
That's right. So
if this advice, hang on. If this advice was in 2016, and you said the rise of the two vice presidents was unconstitutional, or the appointment of the two vice presidents was unconstitutional. And yet, when we move forward to 2018, you still sit there, allow the situation whereby one of the persons that you say was unconstitutionally appointed assumed reins of the party. What was going on at that material time? What was your advice then at the material time in 2018, 15 February?
I think it's dropped off.
Hello? Right. Thinking hello.
The time of I can hear you.
Yes. Yeah, I can hear you now.
I said the Murimoka case was dismissed by the High Court. So from that, there was no there was no court challenge. So therefore, there's operated, the VPs then operated without any court challenge. When it came to 2018, when our president Morgan Tsvangirai died, the VPs were not legally challenged in any court of law. So there were 3 vice presidents existed by that time. Then the National Council sat down, whatever they did, they appointed visa to become the acting vice president. So to become the acting president. Again, I want to tell you or to tell the world. I sat down with Nelson Chamisa and I advised that we need to go for the National Congress. He had his own reasons, and I explained why it was very important for us to respect our constitution. Why I really felt that he was going to win the Congress. I had my own facts on the ground that he was going to win, but his own things. Then we stopped there because it's not council. That is when now the information were now coming. They were now coming. Some people saying the National Council of the National Council doesn't have the power. People were arguing now from various corners. So until took us to court because he was among the people who felt strongly that the constitution was not followed Section 9211. But this debate took place.
Correct me if I'm wrong. What you just alluded to, there is still a reservation. Even after the events of the 15th of February, back in 26, there are reservations. 2018, you had reservations, right? You in the beginning of the show, you said you believe in constitutionalism. And as an individual who feels strongly about constitutionalism and the rule of law, and you're seeing all these things happening, can I ask you this question, Komichi? Why did you not resign your position in the MDC, given that you are amongst people that are failing to follow the constitution of the party?
The question of resigning is an option. I did not want to resign because I still had the hope, not sure that things were going to be corrected inside. I was looking at the bigger thing. So we as a Democratic Party, I wanted to ensure that the democracy is practiced. So I was going to abdicate on it to I felt that I should struggle on, fight on, making sure that the people of Zimbabwe should benefit. Not only me, but the people of Zimbabwe, not only MDC people, citizens of Zimbabwe. Because we've been struggling as MDC to establish democracy in this country. And we're fighting the unfair. We will not resign. We should actually, we wanted to continue making sure that we correct things within the party. It is like, why do you live when Mugabe is not democratic? Why do you live in Mozambique? It is not democratic. No, we are here to make sure that we correct these systems in our own institutions as well as at a national level. So we continue to fight. I was not alone, but there were people like Honorable Mzuri, Honorable Monzora, so and so many other people that were fighting to make sure that the institution as MDC would respect democracy, constitutionalism, would respect justice. For the people of Zimbabwe, not necessarily individuals, or for the leadership. We want to build a culture of democracy in Zimbabwe. There is the culture of the rule of law in Zimbabwe. If the offenders are found in our own institution, we cannot run away. We cannot run away from Zimbabwe because of the offenders are in Zimbabwe. So really, I did not find running away or lining as a clever one. Everything there was my option. And I went to the point where I am today. And I am...
I want to bring in my boy. I think you've got a question. Welcome to the program. Tonight, my boy, and I'm going to ask you to come in and ask questions. That you want, or make your opening statement and the contribution. Before I do that, there's something that I am failing to reconcile what Komichi said. On one end, you are saying that you noticed that something was wrong here, the constitution was not being followed, and you did not resign. And on the other hand, you stayed, the course. You aided some of the things that happened. You participated in decision making of some of the things that happened, in the MDC. And now we have got a court case that is nullifying some of these things, that we say have been done unconstitutional. Why would you travel, this journey of aiding and abetting a constitution of the MDC? And then for you to then turn around and say, Kuti, I was looking at the bigger picture, I was looking for an opportunity moment, like the Musariri case. That is the case that brought you the opportunity moment for you to be fighting for constitutionalism. Why was it not possible for you to be fighting for constitutionalism before we had, this case? Why were you aiding and abetting some of these decisions that were being made under your watch?
Can Ms. Maure repeat the question? In brief, I didn't get clearly.
That the water is tainted by poison, but you joyfully drink it. Then after drinking it, then you say it's bad water, it's poisoned water. So aren't you being disingenuous? That's what he's asking.
All right, okay, no. I didn't drink the poisoned water. I didn't drink it at all. The situation that we are talking about here is a struggle within the struggle. And remember, we've been in the struggle for the almost 20 years now during Swangirai's time. We did not experience the challenge that we experienced the last for the last 2 years. Some of us have been very constant in this struggle, and we don't run away the challenges that.
But they are saying that a sleeping dog.
It's not a sleeping dog.
No, they say if Musariri had not won the case.
Yes.
But
right. Right now there's a label that is being attached to you. Right now there's a label that you are a backstabber, a saboteur, you are a spy, you are everything. All these labels are being attached, to you. As a result of you having stayed, the course, as a result of you having been part of what was going on in the MDC under Nelson Chamisa. How can you explain yourself out of those labels? How can you shake those labels off?
These are the platforms that are good for that. They good for that I was advising internally.
Yes.
I think areas where I actually even produced evidence which was never challenged. When the things were going wrong, I called certain leaders in the past and sat down with them and advised them to respect the constitution and respect the High Court judgment. And postpone the Guero place so that we could respect the outcome of the judgment. That allegation that I gave, because it's true. I did that. It is a person who is fighting inside and the person who is fighting outside.
Right.
You will not know.
But have you not condomised Musariri?
You to me.
Okay.
And I thank him very much for doing that. He was a brave cadre, and appreciate what we did. And you must support the young man. He did a great job. He was brave enough to take us to the court and we exposed by the court that what we did was unfair. What we need to do when a great leader is the one who accepts his mistakes. A great leader is the one who appreciates that he was taking the wrong route and is prepared to correct it. Not a great leader can be vilified the day by people who think he was betraying, he was what? Well, not betraying. Yeah, we were advising and we were doing everything that we could do within the limits. One thing that I could not afford was to leave the training agenda unguarded. That I could not do it. And I could not leave this organization agenda when I could say, if I had not been there, it could have been worse off. And at the moment, I'm telling you now, I'm in a good position to correct so many things with the guys that I'm working with, because we saw where wrong things were being done, how things were wrongly, how democracy was being undermined. If we had gone out of the train, we would not be qualified to correct things that were happening. And out of those mistakes that were being done, also a lot of things. And the should make sure that the people of Zimbabwe benefit. The people of Zimbabwe have an institution that respects them. The people of Zimbabwe should have a party that respects the rule of law and democracy, that respects the life of people.
So we
were doing a great job with what then happened in Muswate in India, enough is enough. Because you had
so you admit you were a house nigger.
Leadership was supposed to take the advice, because most of the advice that we gave were influenced by the courts, and we were working with him. As I said, I was not alone.
So if I steal a car and I invite you to drive with me in a stolen car, you will happily drive until the car is stolen.
No. I will not drive. I will tell you, the car, you've committed a crime. Don't do it. I will do it.
Would you step the car into a stolen car?
No. I will not. I did not step in the stolen car. These things are different.
No, you drove for 2 years and you were national chairman of a stolen car.
I was not driving. I was putting brakes on. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't do that. I was doing
So, Uncle Jed, if I may come in on such an exciting note.
Yes, let us be fair to my boy, Mr. Komichi.
A moment of madness. Now let's have a moment of realism. My boy, need a woman voice.
Yes.
You think?
No, I'm just kidding. No, thanks once again for having this seemingly never-ending discussion, but toward a purpose, toward rule of law, understanding. And it's good that we have Senator Komichi, who's got no regrets, because he says he stood on the side of the law from the onset.
Yes.
Now, I have a couple of questions, maybe 3 questions that I've just jotted down from listening to yourself. Number one, when I came in, you were talking about how when the late opposition leader, Dr. Morgan Tsvangirai, had made this decision, and how Hugh had told him that it would not stand the test of the rule of law. Now,
Yes.
my question with regards to that is, do you have any of that in writing, or it was just Madara Mchitaurirana? And then the other question that I have is, now that it's gotten to where it has gotten to, and I'd like to believe that you are still wanting change, which the movement started in 1999. And I want to believe that you do realize the gap, the knowledge gap that the population of Zimbabwe has in the emotions that have been boiling with regards to this judgment. Most of us are not looking at the content as this show has been providing. Most of us are emotionally saying, vari kuda kurwisa Chamisa. Now, as a gentleman, I want to ask you, are you still working with advocate Pastor Chamisa to rectify the errors of the standing? Are you working, or have you excluded yourself? Because as you can tell, the mood with the people, ultimately the people are the whole reason why you are even serving as a senator. So I want to ask those 2-3 questions.
Two
Uh,
questions.
yeah. Thank
Okay, Senator.
Let me answer the first question. Is it written down that that's why I started by saying it's unfortunate that he passed on. But let me tell you exactly ways that I told him. I said, if this matter is going to be heard on merit president, you lose it.
So, Mr. Komichi, sorry, I'm just in the grade 7 mukazorepesa handihwisisi inyaya yekungoti hamuna kumbobvira mazvinyora pasi makangotaurira.
I was again depends.
Ndoda kunzwa kuti as simple it's written down or not, so that handiconfusike mukaenda kumberi.
No, it was not written down because
Okay.
It was advice. You don't force the advice into somebody. You advise, then the person can decide to take it or not to take it.
But you are working in an institution that is promoting rule of law.
I just wanted to add salt on what actually that at least the way I explained to him that in president, if this matter goes to court, the loser, and when this matter, because you say the party arrows a case to a street kid, because I was trying to amplify the magnitude that will come.
Izvozvo ndo zvandanzwa pandapinda. Chandandoda kuongorora ini sevanhu vari kutaura about mutemo and recognizing mutemo, because in my own personal conviction, if I have an issue with a matter, or if I'm not happy and my conscience is moving me for how many years? 4 years. I would have at some point kuti vadiwa vatete, murume wandiri kugara naye uyu ari kundirova, saka bonde harichanakidze, wenyu amai boy. Ndanyora tete vakazobvunzwawo pane evidence yetext kana tsamba yakabva kuna my boy. So for me, that in itself, and we are discussing on the back of a written document, and for there not to be written challenges to the appointment, it leaves room for speculation of the highest magnitude, and we cannot speak for the dead. We can only base on what's black and white when we're talking on matters of law. Because if we are now to lopanozoyaka my motion edu kuti saka Chamisa right kana kuti Komichi arikuda kuvhiringidza. So this is why I want us to understand, if on other matters that are happening in Zimbabwe right now, the laws that we're not happy with, are you as a senator writing about it, megaphoning about it, or kungotaurirana zvopfuura and we don't have a record?
No, you're different, because when it comes to the national question, kunema kune Hansard and so forth. That is what it is.
It's different. It's rule of law. So these things, practice of your own conviction that this law or these actions that you have taken as a leader of a party, Dr. Morgan Tsvangirai, in my personal capacity as a member,
Order. I think my boy Robin's a question. So, Senator, yeah. All right. Andy.
In the United advised my president, I did not write it. I did not find it worthwhile to put it down because advice akaramba kuitora ini kwandiri haisi mhosva. Then the second question ndeyekuti muri kutaurirana here nana Shamisa vese zvatinowisha isusu ndezvekuti Supreme Court judgment should not really divide us. The Supreme judgment yapuwa kupati yedu yeMDC and vana veMDC vagare pasi vatarise kuti judgment iri kuti kudii ndepapi patakakunganisa where did we go wrong, and it actually says go back to the 2018 and restart the process of succession, which is a welcome
call. Senator, handina kunzwa mhinduro mati muri kutaurirana nawe muri kutsanangudza kana kuti mati
it is his wish that the judge
which has got a wish in a man's the meaning of the word wish zvisati zvaitika.
Yeah, so it's
is my wish. It is too early for us to really go into those discussions because apana 4 weeks
and you've been locked down as well and eating.
Both manifestation from the desire of the actors. If the actors have no desire to meet, then it is hopeless. So I think we would wish to have that kind of understanding.
Can we say, Senator?
So that we go as a so that Congress.
That's Senator, can you say you're a born again constitutionalist? Or what are my boys saying? Is Senator, on the national question, you are missing in action. On partisan issues, you are omnipresent through Musariri and the other guy. Senator, your footprints are on the side of Martin Luther King or Mahatma Gandhi or Nelson Mandela. I'm saying if it's true, then my boy, I want to ask you England. I want to cabinet you. Okay.
Morgan Komichi footprints are well documented in the internet and everywhere else, where he has been fighting lack of the rule of law in Zimbabwe and the lack of democracy in Zimbabwe and lack of nationalism. His footprints are very clear in 2013 when he got arrested for 6 months in Toshan.
Were you fighting against Mugabe or for something?
Is there not a cause?
That's why he had to arrest me and put me in jail for 6 months in Toshan because I was fighting against the misrule, the bad governance that in Zimbabwe, the lack of reform, the lack of the rule of law, the abuse of the human rights.
Because
that was the first.
I wanted to bridge you to ZANU-PF because I see, Senator, you are refusing to sing Amazing Grace. You are saying I've always been on the side of the revolution.
I'm trying to answer a question. It's not it. It's actually the fifth footprint. I'm back to what I did at the international level.
That's now
your CV is not in question, Senator. I'm asking specific to the desire, to the cause. What Mr. Mawere is trying to put in the Mawere simplicity terms, no complex.
I think guys, we are now talking over, each other. And This conversation.
Let's just listen now to Senator Chipazai.
I'm trying to answer a question and I'm saying, no, I've been always been fighting for the people. As far back as 2007, when I got arrested by the Mugabe and tortured and stayed in prison for 6 months. And I got then arrested again in 2013 and spent 100 days in Kurupi and sentenced to 365 days serving.
All right, so Senator,
in 2018, and I was again sentenced and charged and fined and paid the fine. I challenged the system during Mugabe's time, the system during this time. So when it comes to the first of that happened a few weeks ago, it's actually one of the events among events of a person who's been fighting for rule of law, constitutionalism, and democracy. So I've not changed my stance.
All right, so let's go to the key. Let's go to the key constitutional lessons or you have learned from this experience. First, where does the power reside to elect and remove a president in respect of MDC?
The power to reside in the is the only body that can elect the president and remove him. All other organs of the party, they cannot remove the president.
So it's a settled matter because you now have a Supreme Court. You now have a Supreme Court ruling on that.
Yes.
So that was not known before. It was not law because there was a dispute as to whether the National Council that has certain delegated function,
yes,
whether it can sit as a Congress in between Congresses. So that matter has now been resolved.
That has been resolved, yes.
So in order to assist your argument, you are saying the matter was sub judice until the Supreme Court judgment came through.
Yes, sir.
So if you believe in constitutionalism, you can't take the law into your own hands.
No, I cannot.
And substitute the court of law.
No, I cannot do that.
So once the matter had been referred to a tribunal, you expected matter exhausted in the tribunal.
Yes, sir.
And you were bound part of the party that you help found and where your passion is. Is that correct?
Correct.
And you are saying, I never did something in my life where I breached the Constitution, but I couldn't stop someone from stealing because someone may call it borrowing.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. You know, Uncle Jed, you know what
Yes.
happened to this? There's a guy who used to sleep at 8 p.m. every night.
Uh-huh.
And he would wake up at 6 a.m. every morning.
Every morning. Yeah.
So someone was borrowing his car and dropping it at 5 to 6.
Yes.
So the guy would then pick up his car and drive to work.
Uh-huh.
So this fateful day, something came up and he went there at 5:30.
Uh-huh.
Only to find the car missing.
The car missing, yes.
Yeah. Then reported to the police.
Mm-hmm.
So the police were on their way and he found someone driving the car
Yes.
and parking it where it was always parked.
Yes.
So the owner said, you are a thief. He said, I'm not a thief.
Mm-hmm.
Borrowing your car because you didn't need the car.
Yeah.
But Mr. Mawere, are you saying that's the behavior of others in MDC that claimed to have been on the side of the law all along and are only now talking about it after the judgment, talking about it publicly after the judgment. Vakafanana ne munhu anga achibhorowa illegally without consent.
No, they are constitutionalists, but they respect the rule that until a court has made a pronouncement, I can't leave my job
So,
the organization I love.
So zvakafanira kuti handisi mbavha kusvikira
So
ndabatwa.
that's a different.
Ndizvo here, sorry tataurirana pamwe chete.
No, that the court is the final arbiter because you are be innocent. You become a murderer.
Right. Right. You know what, guys?
I don't know whether
you know what, guys? I think for the sake of progress, we have been on this for almost.
Okay. Senator, we got Jed is there.
Yes, I'm still here. I was just saying, for the sake of progress. Yes. I think we should move on, to other issues that pertain, to the to this issue of constitutionalism and rule of law. I think we've exhausted enough in trying to establish Mr. Komichi's position back then. And I think we had other people that are on the platform as well. People that belong to ZANU-PF that we wanted to move into this discussion and discuss the succession issues that were happening in ZANU-PF as well. It's only that Mr. Komichi has taken center stage, but I think we just need to balance it right there.
Thank you.
No, yeah, I get you, but that's trying to do. Senator Komichi is now emerging as a constitutionalist.
Yes.
And people are entitled to his bona fides. But significant today, Senator Komichi, we now have established law now that a national council cannot confer power in respect of a president and his deputy.
Yes.
That is in terms of the constitution of the MDC.
Yes, including substantive members of the standing committee.
All right, I was just talking about the senior guys, but you are right that the national committee is limited. The national council is limited in terms of the power it can exercise on officers of Congress.
Yes.
Okay, then let's go to ZANU-PF. Senator, I know you are only concerned with constitutionalism in your party. Have you looked at ZANU-PF as the ZANU-PF constitution?
I briefly looked at it, not in detail, but I got areas that I've actually checked.
All right. Are you concerned that most of the political parties don't even know what a constitution is? That most members.
Actually, that's a big disadvantage which happens in most institutions. We actually a leader of that institution when he or she wants not being questioned by the people don't read their constitution. And they only come to, let's say, when they get oppressed or whenever they are about to be fired or when they are being disciplined. That's the only moment that they start looking at the constitution. But when things and they are not affected as individuals, they will not bother looking at the constitution, which is a very bad thing, which you must know to educate people in Zimbabwe. That every organization every leader must be held accountable by the people if he or she violates the constitution. Let us actually platforms and the program to educate people in Zimbabwe, so that even when it's happening in ZANU-PF, it must be condemned. It happens in MDC, it must be condemned. Even if it happens in a better, as long as there's a constitution, it must be respected.
So what you have learned from this judgment is that constitution matter.
Yes, of course, very much matter, very much matter. Because you see, like in our case, for the last 2 years, people have been complaining, people have had problems, and people do not know what to do. Because sometimes you see, when a leader becomes very popular, the populism itself actually becomes a tool of repression. Because the challenge Amkuruyu, is
that the case now? Is that the case now? Is that the case that is existing? Is that the case that is existing in the MDC now? That
what Uncle Jed is saying, is it still subsisting now, this feeling of the leader? We see it in the WhatsApp group, Senator. There are very few admins. And some people are in the group, they don't want to be admin. So when they criticize you, Senator, just for standing up on your feet, you are not the only one. Society, by nature, they want to complain, but they don't want to be actively involved.
Yes.
So I take you now to ZANU-PF, Senator. You were part of the cheerleaders of events that took place, resulting in Mugabe resigning. And the impeachment, you were enthusiastic as NDC. At all this time, you never checked whether the ZANU-PF constitution was being observed. And
no,
okay, I'm saying either yes or no. If you didn't, that's fine.
No, we were what Mugabe going, because the last 17 years that have been fighting were the mantra that we said before. So when the opportunity came for Mugabe to go, every Zimbabwean citizen stood up. That's why you saw the streets were full, because we were focusing on Mugabe going. So these members and myself, I did not look at the ZANU-PF constitution, how they did it, whether they did wrong or rightly, because I had no longer standing to look into that, because we saw that ZANU-PF had its own cadres.
But you know, Senator, you've already thrown me, my boy, Uncle Jed under the bus to say, we have locusts. What are we doing here talking about constitutionalism? Then we defect to MDC. What business do we have? That's what people are asking.
You know, correct. That's why I said we did not look at it, because we were looking at our own issues. But that does not mean that we would condone that. We don't condone that. If ZANU-PF did not follow its constitution, it must follow its own constitution. It must follow its rules and regulations. ZANU-PF has no right to violate its own constitution. It's whether when they were there doing their processes, did they follow the constitution? If they didn't follow the constitution, they must go back and follow the constitution.
No, I'm saying is now we are the public. Senator, honestly, was it a coup or no coup?
It was a coup because the soldiers were involved in the whole process. But however, it was taken to the courts, and the courts.
Or the same courts that ruled against Chamisa ruled for Mnangagwa.
Yes, the same court said the High Court said that one, they said it wasn't a coup.
And you for Mnangagwa it's not a coup, for Chamisa it's a coup.
Courts that have said that, not me.
But the courts are not coming from heaven, Senator. They are human beings. You can say no, this doesn't seem right.
No.
And also, you know what?
It was a coup, but the courts ruled that it was a coup.
And just you walk away like Mandela. You go to Robben Island.
Mr. Mawere, also, if you want to look at, if you want to look at what happened, in the MDC in 2015, there was a court challenge over the appointment, a court challenge against the appointment of the two vice presidents, which was dismissed in the courts, right? So at that material time, the courts dismissed that and said whoever brought that case to court against Morgan Tsvangirai, there was no case to answer, right? And then now we've got another court decision where there's now a case to answer. And why is it that back then this issue was never put to rest on the basis that the courts had said that there was no to answer? It dismissed it. The same way we are saying that the courts made a ruling on ED and it was dismissed or everything. Is okay. So, Mr. Komichi, if somebody comes up right now and say that they want to challenge the ascendance of Emerson Mnangagwa to the throne in ZANU-PF, would you advise that person to go ahead with that challenge, given that we know there's a court decision that okayed it?
Actually, I believe in democracy. And who feels grieved by any other party within Zimbabwe should have the right to vote and challenge whatever has happened. Let the court be taken as arbitrators on any nature. And whatever the courts will have produced, the outcome should be respected. So if the person is actually the sentence of ED, he should go ahead. Hear his argument. And if the court, whatever the outcome comes, so this is where the rule of law comes.
But you are not concerned about the person.
This is what, if I may come in, Uncle Jet, Mr. Says, Senator, the way you've responded to that. Am I right to say you're an officer of the court in Zimbabwe?
Yes, of course.
Okay. No. I'm never sure. So if you, as an officer of the court, and you stand on constitutionalism, and such that as a citizen of Zimbabwe, as an officer of the court, you can actually tell that this delivery of judgment is unjust according to the rule of law, because you're educated in that regard. I would assume that's why you qualify to be an officer of court. Why is it so difficult on a program that is far-reaching and to teach society on the fundamentals of law to call a spade a spade?
Yes. Yes, of course. That is what you should do on this one. I've said, if there is a person who is aggrieved by the person that took place in ZANU-PF, he or she must go to court. And they must hear the case. And the outcome should then be respected.
Are you saying you want another Musariri?
There is always a Musariri in any situation.
No, but there was Mandela. I always used to joke and say, President, you are one unique person who spent so many years to be a president for 5 years. It's a good return on investment. But all I'm saying is, Mr. Komichi, we are above the MDC judgment. Are you prepared to be a national leader, national follower?
Constitutionalism.
I'm prepared to be a national leader.
All right. So we have a person who is now we can go to ZANU-PF. We have established with Senator Komichi that the National Council has no power to create a president. Is it the same as ZANU-PF? Does the Central Committee have the power to create a president? No, I'm asking ZANU-PF now.
according to the ZANU-PF constitution, it is very clear that it is only the National People's Congress that can elect the president and first secretary. There is no
right.
Not even a court.
So now we have a meeting. We have a meeting of the. This is true, in fact. There was a meeting on the 19th of November, 2017. And that meeting was a central committee meeting.
Yes.
Is that correct?
It is correct, Mr. Mawere.
There is a number of resolutions were purportedly passed at that meeting, including the appointment of a fired. Is that correct?
Yes.
Huh?
It is correct. And, yes, it is correct. And these resolutions were to be presented in an extraordinary Congress that was slated for December 15.
All right.
Yeah.
And are you a member of good standing? Yourself?
Yes, Mr. Mawere.
All right. Now that is a judgment that is cleared this issue. Are you satisfied that power transferred hands in accordance with the ZANU-PF constitution? Are you satisfied?
Yes,
You are talking to Mr. Komichi now, who says, I don't know, even if I know, I think it's your fucking problem. Go and solve it.
Before 9 p.m., Mr. Mawere.
We apologize for the language.
No, it was just to get Mr. Komichi waked up. That's language in the Senate. Okay. So, if I hear Mr. Komichi correctly, he says the one who is injured must go to the doctor.
yes.
Yeah. So, are you satisfied that power transferred hands in accordance with the Constitution?
I'm not happy, and I'm not satisfied that the power that was transferred coming from the purported Central Committee session of November 19 could actually transfer the power constitutionally, because the power to elect or to remove president of the party still is vested in an extraordinary Congress, well espoused in the Constitution. So the court ruling is actually...
No. First, let's start with the meeting itself. You are a national chairman or commission, is it? Can you was a meeting properly convened? The meeting of the 19th, according to you, Mr. Musariri.
The meeting of the 19th was not properly convened because it is only the president. When you go to, I think the section that deals with that is section 38, which deals with the sessions of a central committee. So in accordance to that section, the meeting was not properly convened.
And what we said section 38 is your authority?
Section 38 is the only authority in the Constitution that talks
for the holding of central
committee
committee meetings. Do you have the same limitation in terms of holding meetings?
Yes, we've got the...
No, I'm saying, Komichi, do you have the same limitation?
Yes, we do have them. Because the National Council is chaired by the National Chairperson.
Okay, and if the National Chairperson is not there, can any pedestrian chair it?
No, it will have to be abandoned.
So there can't be a meeting. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, there can't be a meeting because otherwise the outcome is challenged in the course of law.
So the meeting itself has to be properly called and held.
Yes, with the national chairperson.
So is it under the authority of the national chairperson? And are we saying that the national chairperson is the only person that is allowed to call for a national, for this meeting? And in the event that that national chairperson is not there, that national chairperson is the one. Does the national chairperson direct somebody to sit in their place in the event that they are not there?
Only the national chairperson can chair.
No.
Yeah.
In the, you know what, because we are human beings, we may be absent, for some way, for some reason, stuff like that. But this meeting has to go ahead. Who then passes the baton on to somebody? Is it the national chairperson who delegates to somebody to say, see, I am incapacitated at the present moment, I cannot, and these are genuine reasons that can be explained within the confinement of the party, and therefore I am saying, Kuti, this meeting has to go ahead. I'm not able to be there. Is this the same provision that you have in your party, whereby this responsibility can be delegated to somebody else?
The problem with our constitution is essentially people who are supposed to chair the National Council. So because it doesn't actually go and say the chairman is not there, the National Council can elect another acting chairman. It doesn't say that. Because if it is to allow that, it is stated in the constitution that in the absence of the national chairperson, therefore the National Council can elect an acting chairperson so that the meeting can go on. The constitution does not go that far. So if you then sit down and give the powers to the National Council and to elect another chairperson to act in his place or her place, it will be unconstitutional because it's not supported by any statute. So in our case, if you then hold a meeting and the chairman is not there, and appoint somebody from the floor to chair, those resolutions, National Council will be unconstitutional.
So you are saying it's expressly stated in the Constitution. So do you want to know the distinguishing features between your Constitution and ZANU-PF?
ZANU-PF, yes.
ZANU-PF.
All right, so Mr. Musariri, Goodman.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, who is vested with the power to chair the meeting?
Yes, unlike the National Council of MDC, the power to convene a meeting or to preside the meeting is actually in the president and first secretary of the party, not the national chairman, but the president and first secretary of the party. And that is the only person whose powers to convene a meeting.
So what Mr. Komichi, a constitutionalist, would not proceed with the meeting without the knowledge and consent of the person who has been designated with the power to do so. Is that correct, Mr. Komichi?
Yes. Yes, sir.
So the meeting would not take place.
It will not take place. Otherwise, that meeting will be unconstitutional. It can be challenged in the course of law.
It is unconstitutional, period. Whether it's challenged or not. That's what Miriam was saying. You have to wait for a judgment to know what is wrong, what is murder.
Yeah.
There's lots of...
But according to what they are saying is everything becomes unconstitutional in the event that the president, the first secretary of ZANU-PF, does not call for this meeting, then that meeting, even if it goes ahead, it is unconstitutional. In the MDC, the national chairperson, if they don't call for that meeting and if it goes ahead, it means it is unconstitutional. So what these two constitutions, although they differ in where the authority is vested in, like what Michael has said, it's not really clear that provision. I think it needs to be far-reaching in terms of stating exactly what happens in the event that somebody is not there. But is the point that you were trying, to be looking at, Mr. Mawere, when you're asking, Goodman, or when you ask Mr. Komichi, the difference, between, the two. I think that is where an explanation is actually needed, particularly when it comes to the
and the MDC are in agreement. According to Goodman, and according to Komichi, no meeting can take place outside the four corners of the Constitution.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
And Goodman, is that correct?
That is very correct. Spot on.
Spot on. Okay. Do you know each other, Senator Komichi? Do you talk, or you are silos in the same country?
I don't think it's Goodman. I've never met him.
Yeah,
but you seem to be agreeing. That you rose above the tribal fights.
Yeah. Or the party tribes. The party tribes.
Hey, just be a Zimbabwean.
Senator Komichi sounds.
What is quite pertinent in what is coming out of here?
One family is Zimbabwe, actually.
No, you are already one family. We are talking right now. You've understood that according to Goodman, no meeting takes place. According to Komichi, no power transferred to Chamisa.
But he's not prepared to challenge.
And the same court has said, Mnangagwa, don't go back. Keep going. That's where the people are angry. Senator Komichi.
That is where we need restitution. To say
these courts are bought by Mnangagwa. It's Mnangagwa's project. And this show is Mnangagwa's. Every time we talk about the rule of law, they say, how come the folk only is targeted? The sword is targeted at Chamisa.
No. Why not
constitutionalism must unite us, not whether it's ED or whether it's whatever. The sword must hit on everyone who plays outside the rules of the institution they serve. So I can't be indifferent. If it was Miriam, you know what happened to a seamstress? That seamstress was called Rosa Parks. She went into a park and she was just tired. Sat where she was not supposed to sit. And the hell broke loose. Other people didn't say I was not in the bus. Who cares?
They rallied behind her.
Out of principle, we must stand on our feet, not on our knees, waiting for a judgment.
That's where the principles are lacking. If you look at how Senator Komichi has responded, and if you go back to the Motlanthe Commission and how Advocate Chamisa responded, it's like they value more their being allowed to practice law by this junta justice system than to challenge the delivery of justice through the system itself. So until there's a principle saying, I don't care if I lose my license to practice, as long as the law is not fair, as long as we don't have a just system, judiciary system, then what there is no point me practicing. So we're not there yet. We're not seeing there. I don't know, but that's my view at the moment.
So, Senator Komichi, are you willing to take that step, the Mandela step, the Martin Luther King step?
And actually, this is where you are not understanding.
Okay, I'm a bit.
Yeah, you are taking me as if I'm starting to stand up for or to fight for the people. I've been fighting for the people. What you saw on the 31st of March is a continuation of standing up for the people's rights. What I did to stand up for my against my friend Nelson is an inside battle to correct the internal. But when we go outside and to fight system, I fought. Let me just recording when I stood up against the results at 2018, and I said the results are fake, were fake. It was not a joke. I got killed by that time. People that is the executive killed me. But I said I don't care about my life. I want to make sure that
Senator Mwanzora said that is not evidence.
All right, guys, let me just get on this one.
There is oh, go ahead.
Yes, I just want to find out if there's anyone with a device that is also playing. I think because there's a lot of people.
You are on the. I think there's a device that is playing there.
Yes, so just be on one device.
Yeah, so otherwise people won't hear. I think Senator, the problem people are having difficulty with you. To be a seasoned virgin. Because you have been through you are the general, you don't accept criticism, and you are saying, I know the struggle more than I fought for the people, but all people are saying if there is a judgment by the same court that also gave a judgment against Chamisa and for Mnangagwa, and the Chief Justice presided over that dispute, didn't see any mischief, yet Justice Patel and his two colleagues saw something. Can you speak to that? Because they're saying the courts are biased. And you are saying, no, the courts are not biased because we got what we wanted.
I hear you.
And that's why people are angry.
Right.
That many endorse courts that are tainted.
No. We endorsed our situation because the evidence is in our part constitution. Actually, the courts never created any new clause to support their argument. The only clauses that they've quoted in the judgment are actually extracted from our own constitution. And when we look at our own constitution, and it's just a replica. If the Supreme Court had introduced a new section which are not in our constitution, we could have said something different. Here we should be realistic with our situation. Our situation that we went through for the last 2 years is actually confirmed by our own party constitution. Hence, we found ourselves in a position to agree with the Supreme Court judgment because those defects that are in the judgment are exactly in our constitution. So
but the senator, you are not listening. The constitution of ZANU-PF does not permit a meeting to be held without the president's knowledge and consent. It's in their constitution. Yet a judge says, don't forget about that. It's not about what is in the constitution. What they're saying is that when it comes to ZANU-PF in court, some judges would find a technical reason keeping the status quo the way it is.
You see, the way we are not qualified to be explicit is that we don't have the details of exactly what happened. Like if you compare with what we have gone through our own part, it would be speculative for us to be really to speak with the authority. Otherwise, I have not read the judgment at all. And I do not have the details of the whole argument.
No, I'm saying is where there is will, Senator. Where there is will, there is a. Are you interested in finding a person like Goodman? Why are you here? When you all live in Zimbabwe.
I think the issue here is the issue that we are trying to drive it here is we are looking at similarities and differences between the succession plan that took place and then the MDC succession plan that took place, and then we want to try and do a comparison of these two. Right now, what we have in our arsenal is a judgment that is on the MDC side to say that the rise of Nelson Chamisa was unconstitutional, right? And then now we are now looking at this constitution. Your constitution is MDC, the ZANU-PF constitution is the ZANU-PF, not ZANU-PF one. Makes similarities. This is why we're asking about the different organs, that exist. The National Council in MDC, the committee in ZANU-PF, the political union, and stuff like that. Trying to look at the similarities. And then now we have zeroed in on the issue of the convening of a meeting to say, Kuti, in the ZANU-PF in the ZANU-PF Central Committee meeting, who has the mandate to be calling for such a meeting? In the MDC, who has got the mandate to be calling for such a meeting? So if the conditions that are supposed to be existing in these political parties do not, suffice, and we know there were meetings that were held, can we then sit here and say these meetings were constitutional or these meetings were unconstitutional on the basis that the people that are supposed to be calling for these meetings, were not present one way or the other, right? And then now we then wanted to be deriving constitutional knowledge for the Zimbabwean people so that we understand the issues that we are arguing against right now. That is the point. Yatinayo, Mr. Komichi.
Kuti tinzwisise kuti
Uncle Jedi, you are on the right.
We are advantaged that we have got Senator Komichi. He is a senator. That Komichi you preside over kupasa kunika mtemo mukati menyika yeZimbabwe. What you know the president in I party you are saka at the end of the day, when it comes to my issues like that we discuss, you cannot profess ignorance on that matter on the basis it is not a constitution but it is a constitution is ZANU-PF. And yet we know that ZANU-PF is the party that has given us the president of the nation. So if you don't want to be interested in what is happening in ZANU-PF, you you might as well, you know, cease to be in the position that you're in right now, because you are saying that does not matter. What matters, is this. So the constitutional programs that we are having on the program today and the previous ones and the ones that are coming forward is for Zimbabwean people to interrogate these these matters, get to the bottom, and create an understanding for a layman, for a person to understand the.
Thank you, Uncle Jed.
Patiri tava nejudgment inotibatsira eyes and go the party issues. We have a Goodman here who is a party member in good standing. And we will ask him, now that you know good meeting was held unconstitutionally, then what?
Yeah.
And we can then take a next step. Get another Komichi who has been able to unlock this understanding that a constitution of a party is binding.
Yes.
Right. If I may add, Papo, kuti vakomichi kutondionawo inini my boy ndiri pano kutomirawo nemi, but ndoda kunzwisisa kuti now that you're publicly standing for the constitution, whereas before with Dr. Morgan Tangira, you did it in private as buddy. But now you have taken a stance and said, I stand on the right side of the law. And you've said in the past hour or so that you desire to be a national leader. And yet we see evidence in the challenge of the ascension of Chamisa to party leader. And yet in the courts, in the very same country that you want to be a national leader for, well, I assume national leader, we're Zimbabweans, regardless of whether ZANU-PF, ZANU-Ndonga or MDC. So how can a person professing to say, I want to be a national leader, only challenge the unconstitutionality of the ascension of opposition party leader, but not challenge the ascension of ED as national leader? So that, personally, that is my presence here. Why I value my time. Kuti ndauya pano ndoda kuona kuti vakomichi as a national leader ndinokwanisa kuvaindosa here kana kuti vari kutamba zvavo vari kuda kundiitisa.
It's a question of area you only go to expertise.
Right.
On the 2nd August of 2018, and I got a challenger. You can't be the president of the country because the results are fake. I challenged him.
But my election, I thought that's my election. Is it Chiripa? Okay.
It's like I did not challenge it. I have a challenger. But in a question, but in a expert, authority and the knowledge of what happened.
There's no expert okay. All right.
These are technicalities now. But the principle, any institution can respect the constitution. The extent you put constitution. Meaning, even the ZANU-PF must respect its own constitution. It's a matter of principle that I stand, and I don't move away from that. But the details of how things happen in the ZANU-PF houses and what happened in the ZANU-PF, I'll be unqualified. I'll be speculating. Otherwise, if I start saying yes to things that I don't have the details with. But as a principle, I'm saying ZANU-PF should respect its constitution as well. then it is the Goodman who has got the details of what happened on the night and what happened on the 15th of December. Who has got the technical details. The way I am talking in about MDC, Goodman has to answer about MDC because anger has people. So to be fair for me, let's go to Goodman answer with detail. But I agree on the principle that we must respect the constitution. Where MDC, we cannot write our constitution.
You know what, Senator Komichi, we are now all experts on MDC constitution, but I see my members. And the second issue, justice has no expertise. If you feel that there's a principle that... No, I'm just giving advice. Okay.
We must not hold the leaders of the opposition, also leaders of the political parties accountable. We want to hold them accountable, and we want to hold the organs of the party accountable. But I'm saying about my technicalities.
No, I'm not talking about technicalities. I'm saying about the principle. Musariri raised the principal issue. He never pretended to be an expert in law. All he said is my appointments are on our Shangirai. And this is and I don't have the authority that Shangirai relied upon to make that, whether it's National Council, that's irrelevant. But I'm holding a constitution. But I'm not an expert. I want the court to guide us. Because the people I'm asking run a vested interest. So I just wanted to dispose of the issue of expertise. That you don't need to be an expert on justice. Nobody ever took a PhD to go to prison. Even when I'm going in my page, you're going to prison. Yeah, my whole vets want to do my page. So, but they never qualified, never wrote an exam that people qualified. So all I'm saying is, Komichi, isn't it time for you to broaden your thinking to a national thinking? And one injury to one is one injury too many.
It is the time. I agree. It is the time.
So that's why I criticize my lectures of your history. That's why a national leader, that's why a national chairman, don't tell us how far you have come. But you are here today. And that's all they are asking. They are not fighting you.
That's correct.
But keep on coming to this platform talking about the same thing we've discussed before. The next step, no energy. Goodman, you are not an expert. But if we are going to go to court, I will support that application. I'm a citizen of Zimbabwe. I don't have to be a member to know what is right. Because when it comes to the interests of ZANU-PF, you know what the interests are, Komichi? Because you can't be a president of the country under the constitution until 2023 unless you come from where? From that party. Yeah. So what happens in ZANU-PF affects you. So how can you be indifferent to that? And then you are now focusing on judgment. And Komichi, you know Zimbabwe and Zimbabwean courts are not straight, are not linear.
Right.
Yeah. So how can you now try to tell us that once Dawana Abadasuro Deake Ima Badasuro Enyu Sagamatoro Chamisa on a weapon. You with a good, even na Chamisa. Now I doubt pizza go Kukena na ku promise land. Anyway, wakuru. Kuti muna jealous na Chamisa. Hamuna principle, you are devoid of any principle, any values, except just badgering this young man. Yet the same people are in Poland. And they sit with the same person. Arukuzana appointment. The meeting and irregular. And the concept said anything that is irregular must then be restored to its factory setting. Komichi alapo. Wamonzo alapo. Wakupe alapo.
Vanongoda court ganairi against Chamisa. Ati vanhu vanenge vachiti vanongoda court ganairi against Chamisa asi the breach of law yakafanana yava Chamisa neyava Mnangagwa.
Sasa vana mavere vautokutsira hanzi madhara just kukutsa hanzi rule of law versus rule of men, but munhu wakananga ndichamisa. No, that's what the critic. I'm every day. I mean, Uncle Jed, vanokutaurira kuti varuza vanhu vakawanda.
Oh yes. Because that is Uncle Jed Mauraya. Uncle Jed Mauraya show. Koma wewe mundu repanapa because Mauraya Mauraya show. And Komichi mundu repanapa Komichi asikuda kumuona panapa, asikuda kumuona.
Arikuataka Chamisa.
Saka zvopana vakaswitcha off kuti dai dzai arove Komichi.
Yeah, but you see, what is important now, guys? I don't know how Mr. Komichi. I don't know how Mr. Komichi.
It was process that we are educating each other on issues that were not being talked about. Remember, probably the first time we have gone public with the rule of constitutionalism. It's a very good beginning for the Zimbabwe. Like this, no question was better than Koro, my masters, my doctorates, but a live discussion which is a good thing. And this platform, we're educating each other, including is also to fund so that's Singapore to appreciate. At the end of the day, to build a democracy in a rule of constitutionalism. Whether too many years, 40 years or so, let us begin. Make sure that is not change your direction. You must Zimbabweans, so that at least they must be able to stand up in any challenge. And we are already the pioneers of doing this. So really, we are to listen to the people, to be guided, to be educated, and to be advised. We are ready for that, and we need to improve ourselves. We may not be the best at the moment, but we will be the greatest in the future.
So no, thank you. You know, our song here is called Amazing Grace. The song.
Right.
Mr.
Mawere.
What is
Mr. Mawere. Mr. Mawere, we are about to touch, the 2-hour mark, on the program, today. And right, I do not know with our guests, tonight, how much time, they are.
Senator Komichi, personally, if you were provided na Goodman with all the evidence, not about the meetings and whatever, that the Constitution requires that certain people preside over the meeting. And the meeting that was held was not presided by those designated officials. Just to ask the court not to determine the merits of the meeting, but the principle that constitutionalism is important. Would you want, as a person, to associate yourself with that?
No, but not to take the front line because of the party that I
No, I'm saying as a principle because it touches to the national issue.
Yes, of course.
national element and and Magauna Musariri. Pani nyaya kataurwa mukoti judgment yana yemut Magai.
Oh yes, yemut.
Goodman. Hello, Goodman. Goodman. Atisumuzwa. Wama Komichi. Ati makazwa nyaya yemutness. Makayanso kuunderstand chaizvo. Makayanso kuunderstand kuti Goodman makazwa nyaya yemutness here.
The mootness, yes.
Okay, can you unpack mootness? Imagine Komichi is your grandfather.
Yes.
Asked to explain what the hell was going on.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. So can you tell us what did the judges say about mootness? Can you explain to us? We know it's not your party. We just want to demonstrate to Mr. Komichi that MDC does matter. It's not only members of MDC who follow the events. Good. Are you still there? What? Okay, can you explain what it means here?
Yeah.
I'm waiting for you to explain so that the person. Hello? So can you explain what witness means?
In principle, refers to the issue of controversy. Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Okay, yeah, we can hear you. Okay.
If witness,
you seem to be.
Okay,
you seem to be losing him. You seem to be losing him.
But,
yeah, he's back now.
It covers this, isn't it?
All right. Can I just explain maybe Wakomichi? Wakomichi.
All right.
Yeah. Let me just say, mootness cinema principles. One principle is you change circumstances. So if the circumstances change, let's say one of the is no longer there, then relief it becomes incompetent. So there is no need for the justice system to resolve it. That's one. I don't know whether I agree with that principle.
Yes, and the jurisdiction of the courts becomes invalid from the extenuating circumstances.
That's right. So if
so in other words, can I come in?
Yeah, now you can come in here. You are now audible. Yeah? Go ahead.
Between the parties, where the controversy still exists at the time of hearing.
It's not flowing. We missed a part.
It's now checked with the. Okay, the controversy between the parties, or the controversy that before the courts, it's actually tested whether it is still there. Is this controversy still existing between the parties to actually warrant a hearing?
Okay.
Okay.
Extenuating circumstances are actually tested with this controversy, because to come to a court, there are controversies between the parties. So these are the ones that actually that actually drive or push the courts to make a relief towards one or the other party. So this controversy is still existing to warrant. So it's tested around the circumstances that you spoke about now. And if the
Okay, I think one challenge
is the issue of muteness.
And then the second principle is called public interest, Senator. That if the matter is in the public interest, then the courts are compelled to deal with the dispute.
Yes.
Yeah. So to the extent that there are allegations, your national president went through the back door to get into the center stage. The meeting that created his legitimacy to party, Yanga ultra virus, the party constitution. Then, in terms of the constitution, the power to replace a president is vested in the party. So if that party things didn't go well, like MDC, that Chamisa could one day be the president of the country. So if we don't render a judgment, then we have created a precedent for lawlessness. Is that correct, Komichi? So the court had to deal with that dispute. But vakaenda vega vari mupurwa kukoti. Majaji akaita rule in favor of the coup. Varipo. But vakanzwa kana Uncle Jedi, ndiri journalist kuti unoona ndiri related ku Uncle Jedi. Vanoti munhu ane chibhakera.
Yeah.
That's why vana EFF vashinda kukoti. Vana DA vashinda kukoti. Handiti? Inda kunocheka kuti majudgment ari kupi. So, yeah. So, Komichi, leadership requires you to go beyond your comfort zones.
Exactly.
To be able to taste, not to fight.
And also on that point, I'm inclined to add on to my Senate.
Okay. Did you say your Senate is the first language from a ZANU-PF?
As I'm inclined to add on my Senate.
Well, Komichi, might have revolution.
You see what Komichi, we are bridging the gap. We are bridging the gap.
Did you just call him your senator or what? What did you say?
I think the line went bad when you went in the middle.
Yeah, so
of the Republic, you know, he is from the upper house of the parliament. Yeah.
So wakomana senator tikaita GoFund panapa I think I might boy tikaita GoFund kuti ngavainde vari two vataunza pano vazori kwatiri kuti tafile papers but vakomi vari kutaura neimportance
ndiyo manje kana wari kuda kunyatsoita national leader waMy Boy naUncle Jed ndo manje kayoyo.
Yeah, hanzi Komichi is our senator, handiti mwana hanzi inyoka.
Anzana kuomberera uchinowira mugomba wawira but shame.
And you know that Mr. Mawere video shows like this, we will follow you more. Ask questions that help people build bridges.
Absolutely.
Your people say show panapa.
9 is that higher, so I can say absolutely.
Are you prepared? Just be yourself. Because I want to place this court in the interest of the Republic, not in the interest of MDC. You as a
right
who criticized, who stands being misunderstood, and your career is now at stake. Genuinely says that Maruti Hans Hussein Malunga Komichi is useless. He is not a leader, but a hitman.
He said yes to the law, Malunga.
Yeah.
Yes to the law is what we are demystifying the law. For 37 years before the coup, all these issues were happening for 37 years under Mugabe, and we were quiet and silent. Some out of fear, some out of lack of knowledge, and some just lacking platforms as these. So allow him to be a guinea pig of what rule of law, a society with rule of law, a Zimbabwe with rule of law looks like. So that to me is not uselessness. That is absolute usefulness. And that is exactly is what we're after.
Yes. Yes.
Komichi is just looking for money. Among all leaders, is that not a cause? Is that not a cause that we need to be able or something?
That's true. In my first hour,
determination, a constitutionalism, two judgments that are in conflict.
Yeah. So I think that's where
Senator Komichi wakabatana na Goodman to challenge ED legitimacy.
Exactly.
He is not a ZANU-sponsored target. Don't trust the Komichi. Maduku pano. Maduku akatiza ndo strategy yake.
Maduku anotsvaga mari kana yapera.
Thanks, panel. You gave Komichi a good run for his money. There was no money, unfortunately. He just gave up his time for no consideration. Okay, you want to say Goodman? Yeah. Okay, let's see.
There's a point that there's a point that Honorable Komichi alluded to earlier about people having been interested in the removal of Mugabe during the operation. And that an intoxicating noise that was created by that operation, which actually everybody from looking at the and the constitutionality of the matter. So this is a common thing between the two parties. We both participated and all participated in the operation Restore Legacy, ignited and creating an intoxicating noise for the celebration of Mugabe. But people were actually made to be clouded, not to look at the concept of the matters that were governing this operation. But now, also to unite in the same cause of the Operation Restore Legacy and now confront constitutionalism elephant is now in our room together, because we both have challenges. The MDCA Supreme Court ruling is now the blessing in disguise for everybody, including international community, because if we have opened for business is international. All contracts, the law of contract, the law of persons, and the law of intellectual property.
Okay, now there's
and that revolves around this concept facing. So it is no longer as an international issue for all developmental partners of Zimbabwe. So I really want to go on that.
okay, so Senator Komichi, we know we've detained you for there are some people say they are sorry for you that we were harassing you, and some we are Komichi.
Some people feel that some people felt that we were victimizing him.
And the good show MM and Co. Saga MM man mawana makorokoto amuchazi muri kwaijeka agenda yachamisa makuonekwa on the side of the law. So thanks to Mr. Komichi, to Senator Komichi, otherwise we would have never known Mr. Mawere was on the side of the law. Tangofunga twada kungorwisana na chamisa.
President.
Ako zvazvakaipeyi naye Mawere ko time and waiting anditi ndo basa
reyo Mawere ndiye puppet wacho. So Hans, you are a gentleman. Because above all, you are a gentleman and you have taken the blows. Standing.
And the abuse of my boy.
Yeah. So I think we can have our committee. Lennon, we see Mawere for president.
Akuda kudzimba musangano manje Lennon.
Vakomisi vachatonzi vari campaign president extraordinary Congress. We are very superstitious. So
nobody does anything for the greater good anymore.
Right.
I don't like.
Right. Saka Mr. Mawere,
and someone says,
Mr. Mawere, we are. I think we've come to the end of the show, right?
Yeah. But
yeah, so if you can give Koma Goodman, the Senator, their parting shots, and then we will conclude the show.
All right. Okay, so let's start with ZANU-PF, ruling party.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
You come again. I think my network.
So you can give your parting words.
Yeah, my parting words are simple and they are based on patriotism, which must be about standing in or standing in for any person, but standing in for the country. And I think that is the issue that has been challenged by the courts, and which has brought the Supreme Court ruling that has created this strength or this opportunity. But my observation is that across political divide, we must move away from using constitutions as a special purpose vehicle that is actually used for undue enrichment or undue empowerment. Because if I wanted to only look at my own issue in ZANU-PF, I may have been looking at how I was going to benefit from any course of action that I was going to take towards the constitutionalism and constitutionality of all the matters at hand. But let us move away from that. We must actually on the delivery of our law to the ordinary person, because both parties have got lawyers, but you see, no man is infallible. We have seen lawyers being told that they are now and void contract in their part. So what about the ordinary person?
Yes.
These are lessons that I've taken myself to be a golden lesson. How about an ordinary person? If Advocate Chamisa can be caught on the wrong side of the law in terms of constitutionalism, then how about a person who does not even know about the Constitution in the first place? So we do not want to create a situation where we use the electorate only as a tool to move our agenda, so that manipulation of the constitutions must be removed in our polity, so that our developmental issues and even the vision 2030 or any other vision can actually be achieved. If we hit the constitutionalism and constitutionality of the matters, we hit the ground running. But without that, society loses order. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Well,
Senator Komichi.
Senator
For the time that you
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you so much for the time that you've given me. Thank you so much for the time that you've given me. And I think what we have learned here is that we can strengthen our own institutions first by respecting the rights of the people through the constitution of their institutions. This, when we strengthen the institutions, we can, if we then aggregate those institutions, we build a strong government. Which therefore means the respect of the constitution must go beyond political parties or burial societies. It must go even to the government. If the government respects the constitution, the national constitution, and we have institutions like the police being strong, ZEC being strong, the Anti-Corruption Commission being strong, these institutions can function to contribute towards an effective governance system. The governance system, if it is strong, the whole nation benefits. If the governance system can become strong, we also get international respect, whereby we'll be able to be one of the members in the family of the whole world. At the moment, Zimbabwe is isolated. Zimbabwe in restricted measures. But with strong institutions, we'll be able to sit down and talk about the reality. Why are we being restricted? Why, without any fear or any favor? The Zimbabwe must also talk about why Zimbabwe is being restricted, why is Zimbabwe isolated from the IMF, why Zimbabwe is not trading well with the Western countries, why are we not trading with even China, why? If we have strong institutions, we'll be able to tell each other the truth. And if the leaders are prepared to listen to the general population, the general people, they'll be able to get solutions to resolve some of these things. Zimbabwe is currently suffering under the economic demise. The Zimbabwe is no, happiness at all. More than 90% of the Zimbabweans are unemployed because we've got weak institutions in Zimbabwe, because of constitutions. And one of the issues that can resolve this problem at international level is to respect our 2013 May Constitution of Zimbabwe. We simply align our laws along our beautiful constitution and practice it so that every part of the Zimbabwean society would enjoy the freedom that we are missing at the moment. We don't have freedom in this country. We don't have the rule of law in this country. We don't have peace in this country. We don't have justice in this country. We must fight for these things as the family. All Zimbabweans must come together and fight for these core values to make our life better. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. I think here we are, and we have come to the end of the show.
Mm-hmm.
But like George Washington said, we walk on untrodden ground. There is nothing that I've done before that I can change.
Absolutely.
I can't pride on the journey I've traveled. But the next step that I take is decisive because it shapes the future I want.
Mm-hmm.
I may stumble, but I'm moving. I may crawl, I may walk, I may run, whatever it is, but I am moving. But those who are not prepared to move because they are stuck in what they have known to be the truth, then we all don't move. Mm-hmm. There was a point Mandela had to negotiate with the people he didn't agree with. But they found itself in one room, talking as South Africans. And today, we are in it. Only today, it's a holiday in South Africa because of those women who took the next step forward. And they decided to equivocate and stand still. Today, we'll still be talking about the Rivonia trial. How far have we gone in Africa or the African states? We may be confused, fighting each other, but we are free people. We don't have the shackles of race. Yet, the two people, if there's anything today that I've learned, Mr. Komichi and Mr. Goodman, they say you're a good man because of what you say. Goodman. And that's what Mandela said in 1963. So not that he would be remembered for it, but he said, if needs be, I'm prepared to die for this cause of constitutionalism.
That's very true.
For the rule of law. Yeah, the question is, we will come back again tomorrow. Whether Senator Komichi has picked up the phone to see this Goodman. How good are you for this cause?
Absolutely.
So tomorrow, the shape and character of the questions that we have to raise to a court that is already discredited. Imagine you have a court, Senator Komichi, you are celebrating. Other people are crying about the same court. And you say it's okay because as long as I'm not crying, it's fine. It doesn't affect me. We are indivisible. If it rains on all of us. We can't say ZANU PF problem is not our problem. We can't say MDC problem is not our problem. So if you are watching out there, Ango Jade, I would propose that you start a fund to finance this taste of constitutionalism. And we all be so that tomorrow they won't say Komichi was bought.
Right.
The Goodman was bought. That Mawe is the one who is instigating someone's removal from office. Already Komichi is being, and all of us are being accused. And to target us. They are right to point the fingers to all of us. Because every time I talk about the rule of law, and I'm a white farmer, they say you want to restore property rights to white people who stole land from us.
Absolutely.
The rule of law is affected. And we want to go to Malaba, to the Chief Justice, to say, is the Bank of Justice bankrupt? Like Martin Luther King said, most of the courts you go there with a promise of justice, and what you get? Insufficient justice. And you come out crying. Yet and they are celebrating. And forget that the whole country is in tears because of this problem of big man syndrome, the animal kingdom. The end justifies the means. If I'm a strong animal, I must have my way. Absolutely. So please don't stand alone. This is not just a show. This is about civics, literacy.
Education.
If wanting to watch us being pop stars, you are on the wrong side.
Right.
Right. Let's see what these two people will do I want to participate in the funding of this new lawsuit. Roy helps. Please, let's all, Uncle Jed, how do they get hold of you?
Right. I'm quite sure, most of you guys, you know me. I'm right here, on Facebook. I'm on the Intelligence Lounge. I've got, my own personal pages, but like what, you are proposing, I think, we can be in a position to be coming up, with something, because this is not only about me, like what Mr. Mawere, is saying. It is about, the generality, of Zimbabweans. We really need to be understanding these issues that affect us on a daily basis. What I found to be something of importance coming out of this meeting is the colliding of minds, not in the sense of people wanting to be shouting at each other, or not in the sense of people wanting to be undermining each other, but in the sense of wanting to be finding one direction as to how we proceed, from here. Like what you're saying, Mr. Mawere, it is our duty as the people of Zimbabwe. It is your duty and my duty. If you want us to make sure we get to the bottom of this, if you want us to make sure that we bring the issue of constitutionalism to the generality of Zimbabwe, I want to believe platforms like this platform, that we have, we can be, the vehicle, for that. I remember back in the day, we used to have organizations like FODES. Deoma Vinga alluded, to that. I was part of FODES. We were seized with water education. And that right there, the work, that we did back in the day, I'm talking about 1994, I'm talking about 1995. It went a long way in conscientizing people as to what, border education, was all about. And I think we need now to establish this framework. We need to establish these platforms outside of political parties, outside of political organizations. The two examples that we have debated, today, the ZANU-PF case, the MDC case, is actually brought to the, is actually brought to the top, to the core, the issues of constitutionalism and how constitutionalism can be negated and how constitutionalism can be trampled upon when people are hell bent on putting forward an agenda. That agenda may not be an agenda for the people. That agenda may be an agenda that is being driven by selfish ends. But what we are saying is, we are saying, forget that. What we are saying is, we are saying, we Zimbabwean people, we deserve better. We Zimbabwean people, we deserve to come together. We Zimbabwean people, we owe it to the future generation to come together and actually come forward with a framework that is determined to be educating the Zimbabweans out there on issues of constitutionalism. Because what we are witnessing, right now, we are seeing what trampling on the constitution can result in. And we don't want that, to be continuing. We want our people to be a conscientized people. So, like what Ms. Mawere, is saying, let us make sure we take, this forward. Goodman is saying he's prepared, to do that. The Senator Komichi is saying he has risen above, party politics, and he's saying, Kuti, we can take this to the next level. So, if we want this to be taken to the next level, it requires you and me. Do we need to be setting, that fund? Yes, we do. Where do you find us? You find us right here on Facebook. You find us right here on the different platforms where we are operating, from. And this is never going to be my initiative alone, but it is your initiative as well as it is my initiative. Is there not a cause?
And my boy, we have a woman's voice that is missing.
It's right here. Silence is golden. Unfortunately, my boy is not a silent one. No, it's been an absolute pleasure to be in the same virtual room with Senator Komichi. Nekuone sana kuti you did not do what you did out of malice for Nelson Chamisa or the people of Zimbabwe, but rather out of respect for rule of law, and it's something that had been irking you for as long as it had been taking place. But you finally took an opportunity in tandem with the court ruling to carry this forward. You're not letting up on what the opposition and every Zimbabwean citizen that wants to see justice, that wants to see Zimbabwe prosper. We prosper because we've got enabling environment. We prosper because we have fair justice systems. We prosper because we have things that work as they should, as it is on paper. And if it's not working right, we come together through the arms of government that are available to fix it. So thank you very much once again, Mr. Chairman. Uncle Jed, Mr. Goodman, you're a good man indeed. You're not saying because you're ZANU-PF and your party is the ruling party, you're not content that it's the ruling party out of injustice ways of getting there, or unjust ways of getting there. But thank you very much for having me. Munakundi blokera kunze kuti aiwa like an old mutual did kuti vakadzi kumba, while they set up mutuality and made money. But you say, this platform is open for everybody and everybody that's engaging. Thank you so much, because it's because you're participating and you're posting provocative statements that make us want to do this more. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Right. So, Mr. Mawere, person, who take the off the program, if you can bring this program into your end, please.
Okay, no, thanks. I thought I'd already done my bit, but thanks, Angu. If there's money to do this, let's say yes. Let's do it. Let's put something on the table so that we don't give anyone an excuse that they don't have data, they don't have a lawyer. Let's test it. Yeah, let's say state fairness. Let's put, like Miriam put Senator Komichi in a corner, and Ango Jet put him in a corner. So he had to answer, and he was giving you his CV. We are tired of CVs. We want people to walk the talk. Zimbabwe, after all the nice CVs, is not getting better. So after 40 years, we must wake up.
Absolutely.
Let's do the same. Let's see whether the Chief Justice would rise to the occasion.
Absolutely.
The Malawi occasion, the Kenya occasion. So I think there is Imarie, please, Imarie constitutionalism. It's not that you don't buy. It's about being able to go to a lawyer to say, we want you to represent us, the people. But we want to use Goodman. We want to use Komichi, the two of them, to demonstrate to the country that they can be on one court application. We are tired of one organization. Why not approach human rights organizations if we are the Zimbabweans that we are waiting for?
Why should we?
Why do we need other?
Why do we
need these organizations when it's our rights that are at stake? Why talk about Komichi? Why talk about Chamisa if the elephant is your government?
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to be going down the path of denigrating, other organizations. So why should we subcontract, an idea that is being born out of the deeds that we are doing on this platform to other organizations when we are equally capable of doing what we are proposing?
They say, Ango Jed, please, can you send your details? I think Roy Reps, whoever it is saying, guys, it's not time to talk, it's time to act. So Ango Jed is in the UK. If you can organize, if you're in Zimbabwe, it doesn't stop you. Let's get organized. We have to change that we are waiting for. Some people are celebrating while other people are crying. The same judges can give you confusion.
Yes. Right.
So should we trust our judges?
Yes. That is the test that we need. That is the test that we need.
Yeah.
Yes. Iwan, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate
it. So let's get Chamisa to go and apply and accept it. But he doesn't accept it. No. But he accepts the judgment to push this one. Already Komichi has accepted the judgment.
Right.
So you can't go to somebody who doesn't accept the courts. You have to use the courts as if you are stupid. You know that this would never go your way. But let's expose them.
Because what we need, to appreciate is there is already a precedent that has been set. And it is on that precedent that we want to be going further, with this issue. Right. So those, that have accepted, the judgment, I think they stand in a better place to be taking, this forward, because we want to test this. We have got an issue that Goodman, is raised. Goodman yesterday said this is a burning issue, to them in their party, and they want to test this. So let us help them to test this and find out what these courts say. And when we get that, we can also then continue to make these comparisons based on what will be happening in the public domain. Already we have got the MDC judgment. If we have got the ZANU-PF judgment, we can then continue to be interrogating these matters further and try to have an understanding of what constitutionalism is all about in our nation. Right. I think we can do a back and forth. But from me, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching the program. God bless and good night.
Thank you.